Hey, Coupley Fit fam. Welcome back to another episode of the Coupley Fit podcast, where we talk all things health, marriage, and mindset. Today, we're focusing on mindset because there has been complete unrest happening in the world, and we just want to give you some tips on how to stay positive. I know it can be very difficult in this time.
Yeah, the times are, it is getting strange. And the uncertainty. I know we try to not overly consume the news and look at everything that's going on, but it's hard to miss everything that's happening from a national, from a global, just like you feel like it's all kind of mounting a little bit at once, it feels like.
Absolutely. And, what we're seeing in different formats, ways, policies has happened before. And so when we talk about history and history repeating itself, we are in that phase right now. Although, I think social media really exasperates a lot of what we're seeing. But we just, again, want to give you some ways that you can stay positive during this time because it can be extremely difficult and we still are living our lives, and even if the unrest that's happening right now is not affecting you personally, do know that there's probably somebody that you know or that you're around that has been affected. And so how can you stay positive, but then also how can you, kind of radiate that positivity for others too?
Yeah, and it's a lot of people that need that light right now. They're hoping for that energy or that positive person. I just think about how blown away, I was just seeing the fallout between Elon Musk, Donald Trump, just the Twitter back and forth. I'm like, wait, did you guys go from being partners to it's a bad breakup? We're seeing a bad breakup on social media in real time, but it's at the highest government level.
It's the highest level. It's the leader of our country here in America. And we were talking about this when we first saw it, and we, in shock, of course, but then you almost have to laugh to keep from crying, honestly. I feel like that's where we kind of are right now. But let's dive into a couple of tips to help people stay positive, because I think that's really what we need right now. So first and foremost is practice gratitude. That's something that we like to do every day, wake up, thank the Lord for this day. But what are 3 things that you're thankful for each day? And if you can kind of write that down or, even say that out loud to somebody, that is just going to be something that's going to elevate your mood and remind you that no matter what's happening in the world, I can still be thankful for where I am or what I have, and then I can, move throughout my day.
Yeah, for somebody that maybe is thinking about that or trying to do it for the first time, and they're like, well, what are we grateful for? Mm-hmm. And I think about, today practicing this, I'm grateful I woke up this morning.
Amen.
I'm grateful for you.
Yes.
And also I'm grateful that I'm healthy, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like sometimes not overthinking it, and it doesn't have to be about, today was the most extravagant weekend ever. And it's just like, man, I'm healthy. I've got a lot to be grateful for. I've got family. I've got all of those little things. And I think if we can start there, it allows you to be open and receptive to more of those positive things coming into life versus what's going to happen or what's that negative thing or maybe what am I worried about or have fear of.
Yes, and this reminds me of the Oprah Winfrey quote where she mentions that you want to focus on the things that you do have and not the things that you don't have. So I think when we talk about gratitude, it's that same piece there. Mm-hmm. And so 3 things that I'm grateful for. First and foremost, I always say waking up. Just on the basic level is waking up. And then I get into things like, I'm so grateful that I have shelter. The unhoused population right now is significantly increasing. And as we talk about policies and, other things that are happening here on the government and policy side, it's getting difficult for people to continue to stay housed. And then also, on a basic level is having a car, being able to have transportation that has AC, especially here in Arizona, right? Just being grateful for the things also that you can control and that are things that are going to allow you to remember that let's get back to basic human needs and basic human rights, really.
Yeah, and there's so many people that are struggling with that right now. And I think about the fact that we're based and we're filming in Arizona, and this is home for us. But how many people last year, I think you said 100, that had heat-related deaths in Arizona due to it being, triple digits, 115 plus degrees, and you're living without, you're unhoused, and the concrete is high. It's hard to even think about that reality for somebody, and that's someone's everyday.
Exactly. So the second point is to, and you mentioned this briefly before, is connect with your loved ones. Right? Like getting back to your roots. That's one thing that we always hear too, even just as you on a separate note are building your brand, right? You remembering who you are, remembering your roots, talking to your loved ones and saying to them, I just appreciate you, and calling somebody up, not because I want anything or need anything, but just because I want to just tell you hello today. I just want to see how you're doing today. I think that goes so far when we talk about the connection piece, which I feel like, especially here in America, we are lacking. And it seems like it's getting further and further away from us being able to actually connect with each other.
It's a great call out, because so often when you think about family and even the quality time that you want to spend. I was having a conversation earlier with somebody, and they were like, man, they don't have, and we talk about this too, a lot of people don't have living grandparents left.
Yeah, that's me.
Right? And I'm super grateful because I have my grandparents living. So like being able to talk to grandma today and, ask her what she thought of the movie Sinners, and like those, it seems small, but those are things that you can really cherish and be appreciative of. So I think about that, and that can be a reminder for somebody of just think about that little connection that you can have, or those moments. And sometimes that takes your mind off of all the craziness that's going on in the world.
Absolutely. And something just came to me too, that when you are talking about your loved ones, something that you and I just talked about a couple of weeks ago was, oh yeah, like our grandparents were not our grandparents, right? Before, like our mom was not our mom before. So what was your life like before? And asking those questions of, who were you and what were some of the experiences that you had? And just, again, getting back to that connection piece, but these are also stories that you can take along in your journey and take along too when you do have kids or need to pass down that legacy piece. Because it does bring during a time of unrest, it brings some sort of stability and really brings you back to your core.
You're so right. Gam Gam and Paw Paw had a life. They had a life before us, right? And so, and I think to your point on being able to draw that appreciation, I know I talk about so often, and I literally just sent a message to my granddad. This is on Facebook, but he commented on a post where I was speaking somewhere, and I was just like, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now
100%
if it wasn't for your sacrifices.
Yes.
For, you being able to, like, and again, this is across all of the grandparents of just like, you really paved the way for us to be here.
Yes.
And have these opportunities. And
Absolutely.
so I'm not lost. Like, that's not lost on me, is that, man, someone had to make serious sacrifices. I even see, we're living that prayer or that life that they wanted, 2050, how many ever years ago was for us to be able to do what we're doing today.
Absolutely. And when you talk about sacrifices, right, especially for us also being in a place where you can talk to your grandparents, but learning more about their story, that it gives you insight into your legacy, and it gives you insight into who you are. And it's like, oh, shoot, this is why I am the way that I am. It started generations before. And I'm not only appreciating that, but then also just, again, giving your loved one another opportunity to connect with you. And especially as we talk about grandparents, right? Something that my mom said, she's worked in senior living for over 30 years as an executive. And she's told me that, when you talk about elderly people, it's typically, I have 5 things going on for the entire week. Right. And I think that when we start thinking about that gives us another opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to make that call some more. I'm going to even text, because we've got some grandparents that can text now, right? I'm going to send a text, or I'm going to share, like you said, some things on social media too. That's just those little pieces of connection that you can create that allows you to just get more stability.
100%. So
this goes right into too about when we're talking about loved ones and connection, volunteering. Volunteering is so important because it just gives you the opportunity to, again, you're seeing how other people are living at this current time of unrest. And going back to the gratitude piece, you can be so grateful, again, for just the car being able to get here to volunteer, right? And those type of small moments that really add up every day to, I'm grateful that I am here on this planet. Like, I'm grateful that I'm able to come and volunteer and give my time back. And I think it just really opens you up to see that maybe your life is not what you may think it is, and it actually could be better.
Yeah, and the volunteering side of things, to your point, it's a perspective shift. So, and we're not parents yet, but when we think about especially kids, we've both had the opportunity to volunteer and give back at a young age,
Yes.
and we still do now. But when you get a chance to see someone else's circumstances, it will give you a reality check quick. Like, I mean, I remember years where we struggled going, a couple years ago, but we're struggling, in like heading to the holidays, and it's like, man, there's going to be no Christmas gifts this year.
Yeah.
It's going to be literally like for decoration.
Yeah.
It's just the wrapping inside of some
How
plastic.
to let family members know.
Right? Hey, listen,
Don't
don't expect
anything.
gifts. We're going to get together
Thoughtful
for a meal.
gifts. I'm going to make you something.
Come on, I will arts and crafts, right? I'm going to go ahead and invite you over. We'll have a meal.
Yes.
But when that's the case, and then you go and volunteer during that season, and you see, wait, we're talking about not having gifts under the tree, and there's someone that doesn't have a roof over their head. There is no tree. There is no house, right? And you're, volunteering or helping put together meals, or, going out into the community, and it gives you this perspective shift of like, wait a minute. I have so much to be thankful for the kids. I have got 15 things on my, Christmas list or on my birthday list.
I want a $500 laptop or cell phone.
I want a new bike. I want this. I want this. And it's like, well, wait a minute.
These are all wants and not needs.
There's kids that don't have shoes.
Yes.
Right? There's people that don't have a roof. And it's I think, perspective for all of us that there's always someone out there that is in a worse off situation, which also goes back to that gratitude. But also there's areas to volunteer and opportunities with so many different organizations where you can help right in your own community, be a part of the change.
Absolutely. And there's so many pieces to that and so many layers, because when you were talking about just, again, you're being in your own community, that gives you another piece of stability and core, and then also a sense of purpose, like you said, right? And then taking it a step further, I know we like to volunteer at a local community garden in South Phoenix, which was not far from where we lived. We lived in South Phoenix for 4 years. It was a food desert, amongst other things. And we were talking to some at-risk youth, and they're telling us that they've never had a room, let alone a bed. I sleep on the couch. That's my bedroom, is the couch. And so thinking about your own childhood, right? And as we reflect being in our 30s and we're just looking back at our childhood, it is another piece where going back to connecting with loved ones, saying to your loved ones, your parents or grandparents or whoever took care of you, thank you so much for all that you did for me. I didn't realize at the time that although we may not have had everything, we didn't necessarily need anything. And so our basic needs were met, as opposed to people that we have talked to, and kids specifically, who are struggling with just basic needs. And it does give you another sense of understanding that you can be grateful even for the smallest things that allow you to continue to expand on your purpose and expand on giving back to the community.
100% to that too. And I was just thinking how grateful I am, to your point of, man, getting older and seeing how expensive these tournaments and how expensive kids are. Like, you don't think about it. You're just like, I just want to play basketball.
That's it.
I just want to play football.
I just want to play.
I just want to join the league. Not realizing like there's a cost for the shoes, the jersey, the gas to get there, the time, the weekends. And so it's such a sacrifice that parents make. And I think so often it can just be like, oh, I just want to go play. And there's so many sacrifices that have to happen to do that. So showing that appreciation it's pretty significant. It
is. And so then this kind of goes into the second point, or another point, which is create a routine. Right? Now when we talk about practicing gratitude, connecting with loved ones, volunteering, amongst some of the other tips that we're going to give, this is all creating a routine. And you're going to hear us say stability often in this podcast, but it gives you stability and it gives you structure, especially when we're in a time right now where unrest, dissatisfaction, awful things are happening, not only in our community, in our backyards, nationwide and globally. what are we going to do that's going to continue to keep us grounded and give us structure as we move forward?
Yeah, and I think to that point, as we look at something that we do that's a game changer, trying to be and focus on being the thermostat and not the
Yes.
thermometer, because it's very easy to wake up, jump on the phone, look at social media, see that a plane just crashed,
know.
see that a country just got attacked or bombed. Like, these are like crazy things to be able to see. But if you can be the thermostat and not jump on that phone or on social media when you first get up, or when you are kind of adjusting to the day, and maybe you're going to that gratitude journal, or you're taking that time to get your workout in and get active, or just focus on how you're feeling and getting centered before allowing all of these outside factors to really impact your day, how you feel, your emotions. Because as soon as you like get news like that or find out something like that, I mean, it throws you off your entire day.
Yes.
And now you're thinking about, man, all of those people that are maybe impacted, or how this, how tariffs are impacting maybe your current job or layoffs. Like, there's all of these things that are happening that can be fear-based. How do we create a routine that really reinforces a positive mindset and a more optimistic approach?
Absolutely. It reminds me of something that I saw on social media that said our nervous systems are not meant to see death when we wake up, to see unrest during lunchtime, and doom scrolling at night. Like, we literally, our bodies cannot handle it. And we're seeing more and more people, honestly, that are in their 40s, even in their 30s, that are having significant health issues. And it is one of those things where I think we're getting to a point, going back to that cliche of stress will kill you. And we're kind of in that realm right now where we are so stressed out, all of us, whether it's, again, community level, nation level, global level, we are all so stressed out. It's remembering what are the things that we can do that are going to ground us, keep us structured, keep moving forward in a positive manner. Although, we're not saying that there aren't going to be bad days. Like, that's definitely not what we're saying at all. And for us, we're typically optimistic. We're positive naturally, but it doesn't mean that's not a choice every day. I mean, there's times where we wake up and it's you don't mean to look at your phone, but you do. And then you see, oh my gosh, we're having, more unrest around the globe. And it's just like, oh my gosh, now my cortisol levels are high. Like, I'm feeling stressed out. My heart rate is fluttering. My palms are sweaty. I'm getting anxious. And what are we doing to combat that? Because that's where we have to get to right now in order for us to be successful as we move forward in a way that's going to keep us, again, stable.
Yeah, and the game changer, I think, too, is when there's all of these distractions and there's so much noise going on, how do you stay tuned in to what that truth is and stay rooted in that? And I think for us, our faith plays a big part in that, staying rooted in the word, the Bible app, YouVersion, being able to, stay in our prayers. And that's a part of that routine of not being swayed or getting so distracted by what's happening, because it can consume you. Like, it can literally be to the point where I think, and we talked about it, people are either so stressed out, some people are paralysis by analysis, like, I'm not doing anything because I'm just concerned about what's next. Like, do I invest and do more, or like, is the world ending, right? Like, that people are literally at that concern level of place. And I think if you can stay rooted in the optimism, stay rooted in how do I create balance in my routine so that I'm not getting swayed and distracted by these outside sources or these outside examples, I think it at least gives you a chance. Because right now, I mean, we're literally looking at like crazy times.
Yes, absolutely. And it reminds me of the Bible verse that essentially says you don't want to sway to and fro, right? You don't necessarily want to be on the fence when it comes to your health in particular. You want to be somebody that is not only setting those boundaries for yourself and sticking to those boundaries, but then also being transparent. Like, where are you, right? And that's when we go back to checking on your loved ones, checking in on them. Hey, how are you doing? everything that's going on? How are you feeling? Are you doing things for yourself that are allowing you to bring down your stress levels, right? Maybe I can send you a book. Maybe I can, what can I do to also support you? That can be another question that you can ask your loved ones. But we really do have to start building a routine for ourselves that's going to allow us to just come down. Like, let the parasympathetic nervous system come down, because I know even for me, that's something that I've been struggling with, is my high cortisol and like being just highly stressed, and like my face was getting really puffy, and amongst other things, because I was so stressed out. And now I've been able to find ways. And we've even talked about, I said to you, I was like, I've really realized I'm a nature girly and I need to be in nature. That's something for me that allows me to just calm down. And you were like, oh, let's throw it into ChatGPT. And you came out with a whole itinerary of things that we're able to do here in Arizona to just help bring down the stress levels.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of those things ChatGPT gave me.
Yes.
So one of them that I really love, and I think what's great, I appreciate you just communicating and sharing that's something that can help support you. And for the husbands, you don't have to have all the answers.
You
it is
do
okay
not.
if you don't have all the answers. Sometimes ChatGPT does, but also just being actively listening and you being able to share that. Yeah, this is not. But you shared that with me, so then I put that into ChatGPT and literally asked, "How can I support you in Arizona when it's hot and it's summertime?" And it was like, "Oh, we can do staycation. We can go up to Sedona or Flagstaff. We can go hiking in the morning, or, we could go." And I even mentioned like golf was another great one.
Yes.
Doing things outside that have misters or covering in Arizona. I was like, these are all great examples. I know we got to put air into the tires for our bikes, but that'll be something else we can do. So like all of these ideas that are super basic, like I know the bikes are down in the garage, but getting that list from ChatGPT and then putting that into a note. And now we're going to literally schedule out, like, these are something we can do each week to get more like outdoors for you, but also it's being able to spend time and quality time together, and everything that for the most part that we named, aside from maybe the gas to get to certain places, like, it's not costing a lot of money. It's just being intentional about your time.
Absolutely. And to your point, right, having a support system. I think that's something that we're hearing just as we're talking, is really having that support system and tapping into that, and not being afraid to be, we say hot. We also use this for our business, but we say that we are hot. We are humble, open, transparent. And if you can be that with the ones that are supporting you, the ones that are rooting you on, the ones that are also saying, hey, like, I can help you get out of this rut or whatever that looks like for you, that's where we need to tap in more into.
And find those people that are true supporters, because
Yes.
I think right now a lot of people are like,
No, like, trust.
do you know them? Do you like them? Do you trust them? If you got a question mark on one of those, this likely isn't the person that's a confidant. They're not the passion partner or someone that you need to lean in and spend more time with. And I think one of the quotes that we also hear that I love, look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's going to be that's more of your future. So try to be aspirational in those people that you're spending time with, and becoming, sometimes even when we're in that evolution, I heard a quote that was talking about the fact of when you're in the growth phase, you haven't found your new friends or the people that match where you're going, but you've outgrown maybe some of the old friends or some of the people from your past. So you're in this space of figuring it out, but that's where you build your routine. You have those foundational pieces that you're really stacking together, so that now you can really take off and kind of go into this next phase of who you're becoming.
And to add to that, that also is what you put out there is also what you're going to attract, right? So if you're putting out that positivity, if you're putting out just even more of a structure, that's also the people that you're going to start attracting into your life. And you're going to notice, oh my gosh, okay, this was a new friend. This is, no Drake quotes here, no new friends. It's like, actually, no, I do need some new friends that are matching where I am right now. And it's okay if you are in that phase as well. I feel like we maybe need to have a whole episode about friendships, because that's something, especially now that we're in our 30s, we're realizing that, oh, okay, we are in a new phase now, and we are gaining some new friends, and what does that look like? And
I think, to your point, an episode on friendships, and then also like dating as a married couple, because the friendships when you're a married couple and like you're dating with other couples, that's a whole nother topic.
Like couple date? What do you mean?
Yeah. So like, so one, you have the individual friendships that like I have and you have as we're getting older. But then once you get married and you're now a married couple, now you're hanging out with other married couples and like, what's that like?
Gotcha.
Right? So, because sometimes it's like we have.
Because I just heard dating married couples like, wait, huh?
That's
but
a good
I get
point.
what you're saying.
That's a good point. No,
I get what you're saying.
You get what I mean.
But you kind of are if you think about it. Let's be honest.
Totally, right? And you're like, do we get
Here's
along?
my bio.
Come on.
Here's our bio. Here are the hobbies that we like.
Do we like the same foods? Do we hang out at the same places? Or do our kids go to the same school?
Yeah.
Like, those are all things that, because you want to typically hang out with other married couples or other couples in general because you likely have more in common, or it's like kind of in that same path, like career, life, and all of those things.
Yes, absolutely. So then we can jump into being solution oriented. And it really is looking at what can I control? What are some positive steps to get there? Because when we think about, again, where we are right now, there is so much that is out of our control right now that a lot of what we're giving you on the tips, not only is this what we do or that we're aspiring to do, but these are the tips, these like the steps to get you to a position where it's like, I feel like I'm in control. I'm sure a lot of people right now that are listening are feeling that instability. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's happening in the world right now. It's almost like this state of confusion, which turns into anger and unrest and all the other adjectives to describe where we are now. But being solution oriented, I think is very key, because again, it brings you down rather than focusing on the macro. It's on the micro of, okay, what's in my control? I can control how I think. I can control how I react. Like we always say from the Bible, I'm in control of my mind, emotion, and will. And so really sticking to that. And then also you can have some sort of control as well in your household when we start talking about some of the tips that we're giving you and incorporating these into your household and seeing, again, we need to get back to some sort of structure, or we need to create a structure.
Yeah, I mean, the structure is definitely being shaken up right now. And I think there is a lot of fear.
Yeah,
you know, which I heard this week. Fear is contaminated faith, which I really liked.
I like that.
And I think a part of that fear too is what's happening right now with technology. Right? There's AI, there's, with artificial intelligence, we're also seeing there's more self-checkouts and there's less engagement at stores. Correct. And the question of what are people doing with, what about the jobs? What about the people that were doing technical writing? And now you have AI and these different tools and this replacement with robots. So there's this idea of oh my gosh, how does all of these things factor into my life? Is my role going to get replaced? All of this. And I think to your point, how do I continue to provide value? How do I stay on that learning curve of how do I incorporate ChatGPT or AI into what I'm doing? How do I make those adjustments? And then also not having fear that it's coming in and replacing things today, but how do I make, again, the innovative kind of steps to say, this is how I can use it to my advantage?
Yes. And to your point, right? ChatGPT is a great opportunity to be solution oriented, and learning how to use it. I would highly recommend everyone learns how to use it. There is a format on how to ask questions in ChatGPT or really any AI system that you're using to be able to just help you get further faster, take some stress off of yourself as well, right? Something that for both of us, we were just talking about oh my gosh, the amount of emails that are just flooding your inbox. But thankfully we have Gemini that can summarize a quick summary of what we need, right? And that's changed the game for us just on a work side. But again, what are some positive steps that you can take now that are going to make you feel like you're in control? And do them, right? A lot of times people want the transformation, but they don't want to change. That's a Dr. Brene Brown quote that I really enjoy, because that is true, right? You have to put in the work to get yourself out of the place that you're in. Nobody's saying that it's going to be easy by any means. Typically it is difficult, right? It's like going into the eye of the storm. You have to go through the storm, get into the eye where there's some calmness, but then you still have to get out of that. And there is a rainbow on the other side that looks like stability, that looks like having a little bit more control, that looks like having more of a positive aspect, at least of what, again, you can control.
Yeah, you mentioned a storm too, and it reminds me of, that saying, you want to be like the buffalo, because the buffalo is going to put its head down, it's going to charge directly
Yes.
into the storm. And by charging into the storm, you're actually going through the storm as fast as possible, versus other animals will try to run away from the storm, which now you're literally running, and the
storm is chasing you.
Storm is chasing you. You're in fear. It's happening a lot longer because you're running away from it, versus kind of meeting it there and taking on that challenge.
And it's interesting. I've been binge watching Couples Therapy on Showtime. Absolutely love that show. Highly recommend for anybody to watch that show. But what the doctor said was that, she's talking specifically for couples, is that you need to think of your situation or your problems in the way that you're in a room and you there's no exits. There's no way you're locking all of the doors and you're sitting in it. And you have to sit in what you're going through and sit in it. And it is literally one of the hardest things that you'll do. But when I tell you, coming out on the other side, because we have done the work, we've done that deep shadow work and we're still working on it till this day, but we've done the deep shadow work to be able to get ourselves through a lot of things and look at more solution-oriented outcomes and work together, right? But it really is about going through that storm, and the rainbow is on the other side. So we want to put that on everyone's heart right now, that it's going to be difficult. That's why you have to have your support system. Practicing these tips as well will also help you too, because it's going to be life-changing, honestly.
Yeah, and it's okay to eliminate the noise, right? Like if it is turning the TV off, putting the phone on
that goes into
D&D,
our next tip, actually.
Like eliminate as much of the noise as you can.
Yes. Limit your news consumption. I've had to turn Apple News notifications off on my phone.
When do the good news start coming over in the notifications? It's only bad news.
And you know what? And can I tell you something? I feel as if the media has been pushing this narrative of fear since 2020. I don't think we've ever let up. Like, if you really think about since COVID and the pandemic happened, when is the good news going to start making its way into prime time media? And so that's why something that for both of us, and that's actually one of our other tips, is that we engage in positive media. I mean, we're searching for it. So if it's not in a book or a podcast or, even just talking to each other, loved ones, other things, like we're literally looking on social media. We're trying to find where is the positive news, and I'm going to start liking it and engaging with it so that my algorithm starts showing me more positive news, because it's happening all over the globe. But because we're being fed this fear-based media, it's getting very difficult for us to see through that storm. You just feel like you're in it, and it's constantly dreary. It's constantly, cloudy, raining, and gloomy. It's like I just need like the clouds to break and a ray of sunshine to come through.
Yeah, and that rainbow is going to be beyond the clouds, right? Like there is that positive light at the end, but again, going through the storm or silencing the noise so that you can focus on those positive things that are happening, or that gratitude that's happening in your life. It is a game changer, or something that can really help you take strides despite what's going on in the world.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, because it's getting tough. But I think you would mention that's setting boundaries, right? Like setting boundaries on your news consumption, setting boundaries on also who you're around. There's a lot of negative Nancys out here. A lot of negative Nancys.
And it's even boundaries at work too, right? Like I think there's so many times where, especially in moments like these, where it's like, you're grateful for a job, you're grateful for work, you're grateful for, opportunity. But then you also want to balance and have that work-life integration or that work-life balance where it's like, okay, when do I turn the Slack off or the email or the whatever that may be, to be able to engage and just kind of unplug. And so that's something it's like none of this is, you have it figured out. It's a constant reminder and process to build that routine and continue to make those improvements.
Yes, and to your point, not everything's done at once, right? Don't overload yourself with all of these tips at once. Start with the practice gratitude, right? And like limit your news consumption, reading more books that are positive, right? It's a process and it's a gradual process, but the more that you just keep adding a little bit on, the more that you're going to realize that there's a true benefit to it. But quickly going back to setting boundaries, I think a lot of people set the boundary and then like, now what, right? Now I'm being challenged and my boundaries being challenged, but what do I do? How do I continue to hold on to that boundary when somebody is testing that? And a lot of that too is just, sometimes it's just walking away, right? Or just telling somebody I have to get off the phone right now, or, communication is a way to get through somebody challenging your boundary. And if you don't know how to communicate, there are a lot of resources out there that will help you to be able to do that. But I think that's something that I've been hearing a lot of times is like, set boundaries, set boundaries. It's like, okay, great. But like when I'm challenged, now what, right? Like, how do I build that muscle so that I can continue to hold on to that boundary because I know it's going to be beneficial for me.
Right. And to your point, boundaries aren't easy.
They're not.
And you're typically not setting a boundary with a stranger.
Right.
So this is someone that probably knows your buttons, probably knows you. They can probably, maybe you lean on some history and say, well, you remember when I did this for you, or you don't remember this? How dare you put up this boundary now on me, or whatever that is. And I think so often, we want to be selfless, right? We want to be servant leaders. When it comes to boundaries and your mental health, it's a perfect example of you got to put you first.
100%.
It's like being on the airplane. Put your mask on first. Otherwise, you can't help somebody else, right? And I think that adjustment is going to be like really a game changer for somebody that's maybe trying to implement or reinforce a boundary and they're getting pushback.
Yes.
Or maybe it's with family, or maybe it's with friends, or maybe it's, with work, and you're like, wait, no, this is a boundary. I did say I'm done at this time, and they're still pushing. And it's okay to either, like you said, remove yourself, step away, ignore. I'll get back to you at 8 a.m. on Monday or 9, whatever it is, but like reinforce and kind of stand on business.
100%. And interesting enough, that's kind of what I respect about the next generations that are coming up. I mean, they're very adamant about, listen, you're only paying me 9 to 5. Okay. So if you want anything after that, you have to pay me for that. And on one end, I get it. On the other end, I understand both sides. I'm just saying that the next generations are truly setting that boundary and sticking to that boundary. Do I think some of the boundaries are a little outrageous? Yes, but just more so the fact that the next generations, I think, are learning, and that's what we want, right? The next generation to do better than we do. And one thing that we've done as millennials is really change that narrative of, well, hold on, like we actually do need more wellness when it comes to the workplace. And we're not going to work in the same job for 20, 30 years. Like I might go to a few different jobs to really figure out what I want to do. Same, next generation is now looking at what we're doing as millennials and even baby boomers and saying, actually, I think there's some other adjustments that we can make here as well. So to your point, just creating that boundary and making sure that in the ways that you know how or need to learn how to do, that you're sticking to them. So then this goes into something that we were just talking about earlier is staying active. I know for me specifically, more nature involvement is key for me. But we are in the gym Monday through Friday at least. I mean, we're usually not missing a day throughout the week. Weekends will be just like a walk or just getting out of the house a little bit, unless we're exhausted. There's times we don't come out of the house at all on the weekend, but it really is because our bodies are telling us you need to rest. Listening to your body, and if you need to decline some things, you have to decline some things and let people know I need to rest, or I need just a minute for myself. I need some time.
Yeah, you can't be everywhere. You can't be everything for everybody.
Amen.
So not taking that off yourself, because I've seen a lot of people, and we talked about some of the folks that were, that unfortunately passed way too young, but they said their intentions were good, but they said yes to everything. Yes, I'll do that.
I know.
Yes, I'll help with this. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll be on this board. Yes, I'll coach this. Yes, I'll teach this, which is like, it's great, but then there was no time for the things that really matter, which were their family, which were and now it's like their health. And to see now the impacts of that across, and this is male, female, like all different ages, where we're seeing if you're not taking care of yourself, like your body will shut down. And so how do you take care of your body, prioritize that? And so that health and wellness side is such a big foundational piece of, and again, it's a great place to silence the noise. Like whatever music you want to listen to.
Throw those headphones on.
Whatever music you want to listen to, like whatever that is, your energy, your space, and whatever active looks like, get out there and do it. Try to have that in your routine.
Yes, and something we just talked about the other day, and I've also been seeing a correlation on couples therapy, the show on Showtime, is that you have to almost get to a childlike state. And that works for couples that we've seen. Like when you're able, that's why when we can get into a Dave and Buster's, we can go bowling, we can do something that's childlike. We genuinely, not only do we feel so much better, but we're having fun. It allows you at least a few moments to relax, to just have fun, to just be in the moment and be present. And I think that's something too that we can think about, now, even for parents who have kids, like get involved in what they're doing. If you're throwing a party and there's a bouncy house, get out there, if you can, get on the bouncy house, right? Like ride a horse, do something that is going to give you that childlike happiness. Because for all of us, just on a quick psychology note, we're all trying to heal our inner child. And the more that we can engage in those activities that are reminding us in a positive way of those childlike ways, I would say do more of that.
Yeah, our last time at the trampoline park,
oh my gosh. So, first off, so much fun, but wow.
Joints were hollering.
I'm talking, I don't think I could work out for about a week or so because my knee was so swollen.
And it must have been my adrenaline in the moment because I didn't feel anything in the moment.
Felt nothing in the moment.
The next day, it was as if I played I was in a
100%.
2-a-day training camp.
Yes.
I was like, was this the trampoline park?
Was it the trampoline? It tore us up, but was it the best? It was so much fun.
I felt like a kindergartner out there.
No, I felt like a legit, a big kid in there, a real big kid.
Telling the kids to slide over.
I was just going to say that.
Excuse me.
Actually, it's my turn. Thanks. They're like, aren't you old? My niece will tell me tomorrow.
All of the dunks, trampoline.
But again, you even saw, just as we were talking about it, how we got into a childlike state. And I do think that that's a great way to, it's just a huge stress reliever. And that's a lot of what we need right now is just to get rid of or calm the stress that we have right now because it's taking over our bodies.
100%. I was just going to say, and that might look like something different for everybody.
I was
talking to somebody last week who just they got the last Nintendo Switch game.
Listen,
we've been having some intense Scrabble games on the iPad.
Zoe's but I used to be I was heavy on the Game Boy.
So that's a perfect
the Game Boy Color. I was like,
so that's a perfect example. The Game Boy Color, the Nintendo Switch. He was going crazy. He's
Mario
like, I got the last
Kart?
one.
What?
So all of those examples, right? The Madden, Don't Let Me, Dynasty, like franchise mode, whatever it is for you. That's like I'm not thinking literally. Yeah. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not thinking about the news. That thing might be something to do more of.
And I'm going to briefly say this. Obviously, please take this with, don't take this to the extreme, but the term is called brain rot. And it's literally where you're sitting there and it's mindlessly watching something. Something that we've also been incorporating is some of the shows that people always used to talk about, like a Parks and Rec, like a Office. We ran through The King of Queens, but we're just realizing, we're like, oh my gosh, this stuff is hilarious. It's so funny. And, we're mindful of the times and when it was filmed, but it's just so funny. And it's a reminder that we can have fun in this time of unrest that allows us to, again, just mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually calm down and not be so high anxiety, high stress, even leading to depression, right? We can give ourselves that permission to also do that during these times of unrest.
Yeah, and to your point on the kind of unpacking some of these things, it's news and it's what we see on TV, but then also sometimes it's what we watch, right? Like we can be,
Yes.
you know, when we look at Netflix and we're looking at the top 10, it's like suspense, drama, serial killer.
Yes.
I'm like, dang.
I'm like,
is it like, can I get a comedy show? Can I get a rom-com?
You
Can we get
know?
can I get something that's just going to be
Something.
mindless and some chuckles? It's like, you know, ladies at the bank with a gun. I'm like, ooh, I mean, Tyler Perry, I feel you, but
Yes.
man, can we get something a little jovial?
Yikes.
So that would
Yikes.
just be something else too, is like, you know, watching things that can keep you inspired or have you
Right.
more uplifted.
Right. Engage in positive media for sure. So we've touched a little bit on also just maintaining a healthy diet, which goes into the stay active piece, right? The more that you are able to look at food as medicine and food as fuel, you're going to realize that your body will respond in a positive way, and you're not going to be so tired necessarily physically if you are fueling your body, but there are times where you have to mix all of these together. You do have to get active. You do have to have a balanced diet. You do have to do like some sort of journaling, meditation, mindfulness, like all of these play a part to just continuously feel better. But even if you start again in one place, kind of master that, move on to the next tip, master that, you're just going to notice it takes time. Like none of this is going to be overnight, right? Like that we're talking about on these tips, unless the, you know, trampoline park, that might be, come on, that
Body sore
your
overnight.
body sore the next day. But when you're in it and you're present, you're feeling amazing. It's one of those things too, when it goes into the health and wellness piece, it has to be all of these things are being done in order for you to feel better, but starting in one place and then just continuously mastering that and moving forward.
Yeah, and on the nutrition side of things, as I think about like one thing that we can do that sometimes isn't changing your diet or making all the adjustments, but I love the Blue Zone's approach of that 80% of like stop eating when you're 80% full, just so that you give yourself some space. And I think that's such a game changer because like, you know, the idea of like, man, I got the whole burger. I'm about to eat this whole burger and
Yes.
fries and the ice cream.
Yes.
It's like, create a little bit of that balance or give yourself some of that space, even in your current routine. But that can be something that's a game changer for somebody too.
Yes, and I know something for us that we try to do too is we notice that for us, we have to have like our 3 meals typically. You know, we've got to have our 3 meals, and
Can't forget the snacks.
And we do need some snacks. We do need to have some snacks. So, you know, just making sure that you are fueling your body properly, and it can look like, you know, for us, sometimes it's having a snack box, right, in the car or like wherever you are the most, having some snacks there that you're able to just have while you're traveling, because that's typically when we start getting not only the hangry, but then also, well, you know, I'm just going to go in this.
McDonald's.
Yeah, I'm going to go
Okay.
McDonald's, Burger King, right? And just grab something really fast because I'm that hungry. But just again, right, seeing those opportunities to maintain a healthy diet. This is something else too, which I really enjoyed, is stay creative. So really channeling that positive energy of like, what? Okay, well, hold on. Let's think of a hobby that I might like to do, and even think of your childlike hobbies. Did you used to skateboard, right? Or did you used to mountain bike or play sports or paint or draw? Like, what did you do as a child that really brought you that inner joy? And recreate that of what that looks like now. You know, I know even for us, we'll turn I like to paint. My grandfather was a painter. My great-grandfather was also a painter. So creativity flows through me. And I do like to be able to draw or paint. So we were like, well, let's bring paint and sip to the house. And now we just can, you know, make it a date night, but it is also an outlet to creatively to just channel that positive energy. And as you're doing it, like each stroke brings me joy.
Yeah, and that creativity. I mean, we've done puzzles at the house.
Yes.
You know, playing even some games, a little less creative, but like thinking and strategic thinking, like the word searches and Scrabble, like all of these different things that can just have us maybe not be at a digital screen.
Yes.
But also being able to like write with your hands, have a pen, like kind of that old school, like I'm disconnected from some of the devices.
Yes.
And being able to just kind of be present.
Yes. Something that I like that we get from the dollar store too is word searches. Those are fantastic. Love a good word search. But then also they have just really fun ideas of things that you can do, and it's relatively inexpensive. I mean, we're staying kind of at $1 at the dollar store, which I appreciate, right? Or going to, I think it's below 5 or 5 and below is the but everything in the store is $5 or below. So those are also other opportunities too, where it's like I'm on a budget, but I do want to be creative, and what can I do in those spaces? Something else that I got probably a few months ago was a coloring book and like some color pencils. And as I was picking it up, I felt the joy. I was like, oh, I love this. I mean, I don't have to, if I don't want to draw on the lines, I don't have to. Like, I can do whatever I want. And it feels so good to just get back to that childlike mindset and stay creative in a positive way. So we've touched upon this a little bit when we've been talking about health and wellness, but also mindfulness and meditation. I know, I kind of introduced you to meditation a few years ago, and you've been doing it consistently, and you have a whole routine on how you do your meditation. Same with me. But realizing too, I think with meditation is that sometimes it's not about this has to be 5, 10, 15-minute meditation. Sometimes it's just, I ended a work call early. I have about 3 minutes. I'm going to grab a snack. I'm going to sit here for just a moment and close my eyes, maybe put on some ocean music, right? Put on some calming music for yourself and take a moment to just take a few deep breaths, right? That allows, again, the breathing and breath work in general has been known to just create a space for you to calm down, bring the cortisol levels down, bringing the stress down. Because if you're in back-to-backs all day at work, oh my gosh, you feel like I can't even go to the bathroom. This is insane. But if you do get a chance where you have that 5 minutes, using those 5 minutes, not to just jump into the next emails if you don't have to and it's not pertinent at this time, but being able to say, okay, I know I need to eat. Let me grab a quick protein bar. Let me do some quick breaths right now. Maybe write down or journal a quick prompt, right? And you can, just in that 5 minutes, you've been able to hit a few of the tips that we're talking about, but it's just going to watch your mindset shift. And now you're going to go into your next meeting. You're probably still going to be tired, but you're going to go in at least maybe being a little bit more positive, upbeat, and just grounded.
Yeah, those resets, even if it's a micro reset, like you said, just it opens up the space to be able to have a kind of an influx of a clear, clarity, fresh mindset, or just be able to reset with optimism or gratitude before you jump back into something else.
Yes, because that's the worst, and you feel like it's like a tug of war, right? Like you're being pulled and pulled and pulled. But when are you going to do something for yourself? And one thing, I was talking to an executive leader from Walmart, and she was just mentioning that she's being pulled as a wife. I'm being pulled as a mom. She's also a multi-generational household, so she also has her mom there. So she's being pulled there. Then you're being pulled work-wise. She's like, I only have my Pilates class that works for me. But I just told her, and I was giving her tips on how to integrate more health and wellness into her everyday life, and she just looked like her world was opened up. Like, I didn't think of that. So hopefully this gives you all some opportunities to be able to incorporate some more healthy behaviors into your everyday life.
Yeah, and it's about progress over perfection too. So there's no perfect 10 when it comes to work-life integration.
And it's not every day, to be honest. Like, you may only be working, even if you do one of these tips a day, and you, again, like we say, you build on these healthy habits, then that's fine. Like, give yourself a pat on the back too. Like, congratulate yourself for just taking that. Oh, you know what? I took that 5 minutes of meditation today. Like, yes, girl, you did that, right? Like, giving your pump yourself up. Be your biggest cheerleader too. Something that we like to do, and we've talked about recently, is keep humor alive, right? We want lighthearted content. We want things where we're able to watch it, digest it, and it's like, oh, that lifted my spirits a little bit. And sometimes for us, that's gospel music, right? Like, just listening to some Kirk Franklin, I'm just like, yes, Jesus, come through. I love this. And that's just something too that can be uplifting, but really staying in lighthearted content and humorous. I know that humorous and unrest where we are right now can seem opposites, but how can we incorporate some more laughter, humor, fun into just what we're going through right now?
Yeah, and it might come from somewhere that you don't even expect. I mean, I know for me, and it comes up on my feed all the time. I've been showing you these videos, but
You love it. I know.
it's a pet owner that's got like 3 dogs, all pit bulls, and he's literally like he's gourmet chefing up their
Yes.
meals, and it's like real food, not dog food.
Yes.
But they're waiting with like little bibs on. The like food is being sliced, and they're waiting, and they eat it off
You
the
hear them
fork.
smacking their lips.
I mean, so it's just, it's the
Oh,
most. It's like 15, 20 seconds,
So
but
good.
sometimes I'm just watching. I'm like, those dogs are living a dream, and it's just so
Yes.
cute to watch them how they're trained and the whole thing. But that could be something as small as that.
Yes.
That can just be like, that was something more positive than maybe the other things that are being shared on social that could like maybe bring a little bit more anxiety or stress into your life.
Yes, so those small joyful moments and incorporating that more into your daily life is absolutely key. So then we're going to go into our last tip, which is if, you're feeling like, okay, love what you guys are talking about, but I think I'm a little bit further along and I need professional help. Like I need somebody that is going to really be able to help me navigate in this space, because some of these tips I've tried and maybe they're not necessarily working, or you just need to figure out a new way in which you need to incorporate some of these tips. Definitely seek professional help. That's something that you and I have mentioned throughout this entire podcast is although we didn't grow up in this space of professional help and psychologists, getting therapy and those things, and that's kind of not only frowned upon, but you're looked at as like, what are you talking about? Why would you do that? Depression? What do you mean? Everyone's depressed. Like, okay, and it's like, well, hold on, I can do something about this. And if I have the means to be able to do that, and I know I've been recognizing for the past, however long that I need some professional help, I'm going to go and get that. And it's okay. And we're going to let you know now that we're proud of you for doing that if that's something that you do need to seek.
Yeah, we're proud of you for doing it, but we're also proud of ourselves for doing it.
Amen.
Because before there's anything that we share out with the audience or share out to the Coupley Fit fam, it's like we're living it and living proof of it ourselves to see how did it help us. Because, it's like the volunteering, right? You want to, you want to sow where you want to grow.
Amen.
And so by pouring in and by putting forth the time and the effort, we're seeing the rewards. But then that can be the unlock for somebody else of like, I now see it. They actually tried this, put it in the work. It's not instant. It's not magic where it's like, overnight you just woke up.
Yay.
No, but these little steps make a really big stride. And we're not judging. I heard something else recently. We're not judging the day. We're actually grading like the years, right? Mm-hmm. So this process, it may not be just today, but you're making massive strides by stacking the days. And that's where you have the breakthroughs over time.
Yes. And something else too that I've heard is having maybe a congratulations journal. I don't know. You can call it kind of whatever you want, but something that you and I do in our phones is we have a wins folder in our notes section. Yeah. And we will screenshot something that, brought us joy, or that somebody gave us our flowers, or just whatever feels like a win to you, screenshot that on your phone, put it into the notes section, actually write that down in a journal. And then I highly recommend at least once a week, like that's where we are, maybe daily, depending on where you are, going back and reading your wins. Because sometimes you'll look back, we're in halfway through the year now, and sometimes I'm like, what did we do in January? Like, what did we do in February? But sometimes when I look back, I'm like, that's right. Oh my gosh, that was so big. I was proud of that moment. And wow, I even foreshadowed where I wanted to be, and I'm here. Oh my gosh, like, let me celebrate that. And matter of fact, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to get myself a cupcake and a candle, okay? And I'm going to blow it out because, like, yes, go queen. Love that for myself. And then also sharing those wins with your loved ones, too, that do want to support you and have supported you in the past, because sometimes it's hard being your biggest cheerleader, and tapping into that support system or loved ones that will also be that for you will give you just another boost of positivity and energy too.
Yeah, and if you feel like today you haven't, or in the past you haven't been an optimistic person, or that hasn't been your natural routine, that doesn't mean tomorrow you can't turn over a new leaf.
Correct.
Like, you can reinvent yourself at any point in
Any
time.
point.
It's never too late, and you can start by becoming or acting. It actually, it's almost like it tricks your mind when you start acting like that person you want to
Want to be.
become. Now it starts to happen, right?
Yes.
So it's never too late.
That goes back to the dress for the part, like dress for the
True.
person that you want to be, not who you are right
Correct.
now.
100%.
So yeah, so hopefully you all that these tips helped you in some way to be able to just have a little bit more of a positive mindset as we are in this time of unrest. I know it's very difficult for all of us. We are in this together. The more that we can stay connected and in a community-like mindset, the more that we're going to be able to get through this together. But thank you again. Just for, if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. As always, please follow us on social media at Coupley Fit, COUPLEYFIT.